Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Chris LeCompte, although you may have known me through the years as referee or Mr. Official. This video is about the basics of snitch-on-pitch positioning with a 4-person AR crew. So that's 1 snitch ref, 1 lead assistant ref, and 2 ARs. And how should you position yourself to cover the whole field during snitch-on-pitch play? Let's dive in. Hello everyone, and welcome to my second guide here about positioning. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at referee crew positioning during snitch-on-pitch. So in the previous video, I looked at seeker floor positioning. Now we're going to take a look at snitch-on-pitch positioning. When the snitch is on the pitch, the zones of coverage are going to change slightly. You're losing an assistant ref from the general field to help watch the snitch play. The snitch ref down at the bottom is now watching snitch play. So then you have these 2 ARs are still watching the main play, and this lead assistant ref is now responsible for the whole half of the field by themselves. They're going to take over zones 1 and 2. So the LAR originally just had zone 1, but now they're going to take over zones 1 and zone 2. So they have an entire half of the field to themselves. I guess that's why they get paid the big bucks. Your other 2 ARs are also watching their original zones. So this AR is still watching zone 3 primarily, and this AR is still watching zone 4 primarily. Now from here, we're going to go ahead and take a look at what I consider to be the 3 most common snitch-on-pitch scenarios you might encounter. The first one is snitch-on-pitch, beaters are on the quaffle. So neither beater is on the seeker, or on the snitch. So in this case, it might be MLQ endgame, where both teams need 1 goal to win, and so they pull all their beaters and put them on the quaffle. This might be a game where one team's down out of range and they don't have blood draw control. So they're going to be in the quaffle game trying to get blood draw control back before they go to the snitch to start defending the snitch. Or it could just be a team makes a bad choice and decides to put all their beaters on the quaffle. It happens. In this circumstance, you've got the lead AR, the head ref, and these 2. Now right here, this AR can't really see gameplay because the snitch-on-pitch is in the way. So they're going to have to move around the snitch-on-pitch. They don't want to go through it. They need to go around it. That's why I took the time to draw a curvy arrow here. They need to go around the snitch-on-pitch play. They're going to end up at the midline, as they usually should be, but they need to go around snitch-on-pitch. The leading AR on that side needs to move all the way down to the goal line, like how they normally would. That part isn't too different, isn't too exciting. Now, this lead AR over here is neither the leading nor the trailing assistant ref. They've got the whole side of the field themselves. So in this case, they don't want to overcommit by putting themselves all the way down on the goal line, but they don't want to undercommit by staying all the way at the midline. They're going to move about halfway between the goal line and the midline, or about 3 yards in front of the keeper zone line to right here. So here we have, this is the finals from US Quidditch Cup 8, or what was known at the time as World Cup 8. We have Stuart Driftlow from, I believe he's from Boise State, as the snitch. You have Andrew Canto, who is the snitch referee. And you're going to watch what happens when there's no beat on the snitch and both seekers are going for the catch. And it's really a back and forth, really fast, and the snitch is a runner. But the snitch ref has to do to accommodate that.
3, 2, 1. Seekers are out. We're tied at 80.
Seekers come out.
The snitch will now be approached by the seekers.
And you can see Canto here is following the snitch around, following around the outside, making sure not to interfere with the play while maintaining good eye contact. He is having to hustle, but he's keeping his eye on the prize, eye on the snitch, to make sure that he can see if anything happens and if a catch is good or not. You can see how fast he's sprinting. Now as the snitch runs to the other side of the field, he follows to the other side of the field. And you can see he's watching the play. He's watching the seeker go to the ground, making sure that that call is okay and the seeker's okay as the seeker goes to the ground. He's going to cut in between and turn back to look, and you can see the seeker's not anywhere near the snitch, so it's an okay maneuver. And he's able to watch. He's keeping his eyes on the play that whole time. He's moving around the players that are coming in his area, and he's making sure to keep his eyes on the snitch at all times. It's absolutely excellent positioning by that AR there, by Andrew Canto. In this case, you have the head ref watching the gameplay from directly behind, and you have an AR watching from almost the same angle, but because the head ref is primarily watching quaffle play and the AR is primarily watching beater play, that's okay. This lead assistant referee here is watching from the side, and the leading AR is watching up the field from in front. You get about 3 unique angles from the ARs, and the head ref has their own angle on the quaffle play. In this case, the snitch ref is only watching snitch on pitch. A snitch referee needs to be able to handle a seeker, another seeker, and a snitch. If they can't handle that, they really should have a different person at the snitch ref. That's the lowest load they could have. They should need to be able to handle at least that much, and most referees can. That's what's going to happen down here. Is this snitch ref just going to handle the 2 seekers and the snitch interacting with each other and watching for contact? Now, the next most common occurrence is where 1 pair of beaters is on the snitch and 1 pair is on the quaffle. That might occur if one team is up out of range and the other team puts both their beaters on the snitch to prevent the other team from catching, so that they can stay in the game. And the team that's up out of range still has their beaters in the quaffle game, just so that they can, or the team that's up out of range has their beaters in the snitch to help their seeker score, where the team that's down out of range has their beaters in the quaffle game because they're trying to force their way back into the game and trying to crawl back into snitch range. In this circumstance, you now have 1 pair of beaters here at the snitch and 1 pair still in the quaffle game. In this case, the zones of coverage are going to change slightly because the beaters have moved. The lead AR is still watching zones 1 and 2, but now zones 3 and 4 need to be covered by 1 assistant referee. They can do this. This is okay because there's only 1 pair of beaters. It's fine. 1 AR can cover that entire half of the field. The other AR will be watching what I'm going to call Zone S, or the snitch zone. They're watching these 2 beaters attempting to beat the seekers. Now, as a snitch ref, if you're watching 2 seekers and a snitch, that's easy. You can handle that. Once you throw 2 beaters in the mix, you start to get a little more hectic than one AR can cover. 1 AR, 1 snitch ref can cover confidently. So the snitch ref here needs an assistant, needs the AR to come over and help. So this AR is primarily just watching the 2 beaters and the beaters interacting with the seekers, trying to see if they're beat or not. Okay. In this circumstance, the way the other ARs need to position themselves to watch main gameplay is, again, they want as unique of an angle as possible. So this leading AR is going to move down to the goal line so that they have an angle directly opposite the lead AR. That way, they get 2 unique angles on the same play from opposite sides of the field, and the head referee kind of gets the middling angle. There's only 1 pair of beaters, and they're probably trying to beat the quaffle player, or the quaffle handler, so typically, if a beat's going to occur or a beat before a goal is going to occur, all 3 of you are likely to see it because there's only 1 pair of beaters there. The other 2 referees are over here at Snitch-on-Pitch, watching the seekers interact with each other and watching the beaters interact with the seekers. Now, the last most common positioning for players to be is Snitch-on-Pitch. Everyone's on the snitch. All 4 beaters and 2 seekers are on the snitch. This is going to be absolutely insane to watch. You're going to see absolutely incredible plays being made by beaters, absolutely incredible plays being made by the seekers, by the snitch. You need a lot of eyes to make sure every call is appropriate and correct. In this circumstance, what's going to happen here is the 2 people who need to move are actually the head referee and the lead AR. There's no more zones of coverage here because all of the beaters are in one place. So all of the assistant ref eyeballs need to be concentrated in one place to watch the game. So the head referee is actually going to shift away from the snitch on pitch. This is so that they're still watching the quaffle game. They're watching the hoops, but out of the corner of their eye, they might be able to see a little bit of the snitch game. So if a goal and a snitch catch occur close to each other, they can tell or they can help figure out which one happened first. Now, the lead assistant ref is going to do a similar thing, but they're going to do the opposite of that similar. They're going to move towards snitch on pitch, and they're going to primarily watch the snitch on pitch play with the quaffle game in the corner of their eye. Now, that means that out of the corner of their eye, they might see a goal and they might see a catch, and they will be able to help figure out which one happened first. So here we have an example of all the assistant referees watching the beaters on the snitch when all the beaters are on the snitch. In this circumstance, we have the snitch right here, totally gunning from the College of Wooster in Wooster, Ohio, is the snitch here. Eric Morlock is the snitch referee, and you're going to have 1, 2, 3 ARs and the head referees right here. You're going to watch as all of the beaters, you can see them here, 1, 2, 3, 4. All the beaters are now on the snitch. They're trying to help out their teams. It's overtime, and the score is currently tied. So a snitch catch would both end and win the game for whomever is able to catch.
Rochester still putting their seeker out of commission. Nearly a switch catch. Right through Fox.
So as the snitch is running to the other side of the field, the beaters are going to follow, and so are the seekers. So the referees are making those adjustments. The snitch ref is following them over. As the snitch and beaters and seekers arrive, this AR is shifting back to get out of the way. And now while keeping his head, I think this is a Michael Clark corner. As McP keeps his head on the play, he follows around the outside of the play to make sure he's watching those beaters interact, especially here on near the boundary. This is an old rulebook, so we still have the soft and hard boundary, and there's a lot of play going on here between the soft and the hard boundary. So he's turning to keep his head on that play. This assistant referee here is watching towards the beater play, and the head referee is still watching the quaffle game. And as the quaffle game shifts down, you can see that AR still has his head focused towards the sideline. The head referee watching the quaffle game. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing in those circumstances. The ARs should be watching the beater game. The head ref should be watching the quaffle game. It's how it should be happening. This AR is still Michael Clark Polner here. McP, he's still circling around, still keeping his head on the game, on the beaters. Eric Morlock, the snitch ref, keeping his head on the snitch, as he should. And there seems to be a beater battle going off near the side of the screen. And once the camera pans back out, you'll see this beater battle. That beater battle that just occurred there, we have Andrew Canto here watching it. So all of the beater play is being watched by at least 1 or 2 sets of eyes as it's occurring. This is great positioning by this crew, and these are top-notch referees, so I mean, I would expect nothing less. But this is excellent positioning and definitely lessons you can take where they all are turning and at least watching with their heads, if not with their bodies, to watch the game to make sure that the game is that all of the play is being adjudicated fairly. In an overtime finals type of situation where the score is tied, it's really, really important that the snitch call, or any call with the snitch catch, is correct. I mean, you don't want a bad call to decide a game, any game, let alone a finals game in overtime. In this system, you've got 3 assistant referees all watching Snitch-on-Pitch. You've got 2 beaters, 2 seekers, and a snitch. It's a lot. You need a lot of players there to figure out beat before throw, double beats, both beats. There's a lot of plays that need to be called, and they need to be called quickly. You need as many people there to help call those plays as possible. The head referee is watching the quaffle game, and out of the corner of their eye, they might catch the snitch. They're not required to. They just should put themselves in the best position where they possibly could catch it. Not that they will see it, but that they might. And the lead AR is doing the reverse. They're primarily watching the Snitch-on-Pitch play, but they might, out of the corner of their eye, catch a goal or catch a score or something along those lines. Now, when we're looking at these 3 different ways teams can be set up, they aren't set in stone. Teams won't stick to one and then stay there that way the whole time Snitch-on-Pitch. These are going to change rapidly, and as a ref, you have to change your stance and your system as quickly or even faster. So, for example, let's say Snitch-on-Pitch starts and one team is down out of range. So that team that's down out of range might put all of their beaters on the quaffle, trust their seeker to defensive seek, and put all their beaters in the quaffle game and try and crawl back into range. Now, when that happens, the other team that's up out of range might take their beaters and put them on the snitch because they're like, hey, the quicker we catch, the quicker we win. Let's go ahead and catch, and let's go ahead and get rid of those seekers. So that way, we're starting with the second setup with 2 beaters in the snitch, 2 beaters in the quaffle game. Now let's say the team that's up out of range has bludger control. So now the team that's down out of range needs to go to the seeker to get bludger control. Now we're shifting into the third set you see on your screen here with 2 beaters on the snitch. Now let's say right after that, their team scores to put themselves in range, so they stay in this setup for a while. And you can consider the major league set score. After a little while, they might end up with 1 goal or 2 goals to win each, so they pull their beaters from the snitch, and their beaters are only in the quaffle game trying to earn themselves those last 2 points. These changes happen rapidly. In 30 seconds, you could see all 3 of these twice because of how quickly goals can be scored, how quickly the game pace changes, and how quickly the end game situation changes. Does the team need 1 goal to win, or does a snitch catch get them to win? Does a snitch catch get them closer to winning? Does a snitch catch cause the other team to win? How do they react? And as a referee, you have to react to those game situations and make sure you are in the right system for what's going on in the field. The game is dynamic. As refs, you have to be dynamic as well. So, what did we learn today? We learned that all the referees on the field have to respond together to dynamic snitch-on-pitch situations so they can make the best calls possible during this crucial time. When I say respond together, they have to talk to one another to say, hey, I'm going over to the snitch-on-pitch. Hey, I'm going over to the secret game. Hey, I'm back from the secret game to help out in the main field. Hey, I'm following this beater battle. Those sorts of things. They have to communicate with each other. We also learned that during snitch-on-pitch, the game situation changes rapidly, so the referees have to change their positioning and their systems rapidly. This requires communication. If everyone's on the snitch, the HR still needs 1 extra set of eyes on the quaffle game because the quaffle game is also really physical. They might tell the lead AR, hey, I need you to actually stay on the quaffle game. Or they might say, hey, go to the secret game. It's getting really crazy over there, and this quaffle game is slowing to a crawl, or it's turning into just fast breaks or the Sprite slam dunk contest for each team. Whatever it is. But they need to communicate that with their crews. And sometimes that means just yelling across the field. Sometimes that means hand signals. And to learn more about what those kinds of signals might be, on Monday, I will be releasing the communication guide. So as a referee crew, how do you communicate with each other on the field, off the field, and before a game to make sure that you are putting out the right messages at the right time and that you are all on the same page about different fouls. Well, those are the basics about snitch-on-pitch positioning as a crew. I hope you learned a little or maybe a lot. Please like and subscribe and leave a comment if you have ideas for future videos or if you have questions about this one. I'll see you on Monday for the guide on communication between head referees and the assistant referees and the whole referee crew throughout a game. That's the pregame, that's during the game, and that's how to use your voice and hand signals in appropriate ways to deliver information across long distances. In the meantime, please travel safely.